A solitary figure strolls along the roadway, and if you inquired about his companions, he'd grin and admit he lacks any. This isn't due to any prickly temperament or eccentricity. Rather, he's pierced the veil of one of existence's most enduring deceptions. He's come to understand that the notion of depending on buddies, of relying on fellow beings to fulfill oneself, resembles a ripple fretting over its isolation from the sea. This realization disturbs the majority profoundly. Suppose our frantic craving for social bonds is precisely what blinds us to the clearest reality imaginable. From this core delusion springs every bit of our isolation, every worry over gaining favor, inclusion, or lasting recollection. Yet the lone wanderer has grasped the punchline. He's perceived that isolated landmasses don't truly exist. There's merely the sea feigning fragmentation. Allow me to share an intriguing observation. The fiercer your pursuit of alliances, the more they slip away. It's akin to grasping at your own silhouette. You might dash after it from dawn till dusk, yet it'll perpetually evade your fingers. The individual who's ceased pursuing phantoms has uncovered that bonds were never commodities to seize anyway. They were revelations to embrace. Consider this carefully. What do you truly pursue in a confidant? A soul who comprehends your essence, yet who comprises this essence demanding comprehension, a partner for your adventures. But who undergoes these adventures? A comrade to chuckle alongside at existence's peculiarities, but who deems them peculiar. The deeper your inquiry, the clearer it becomes that the seeker of allies and the potential ally aren't distinct entities. We endure a profound universal forgetfulness. We've lost sight of our interconnectedness, not as isolated entities colliding haphazardly in an apathetic cosmos. We're manifestations of a singular underlying essence, comparable to surges upon a unified sea or limbs upon a shared trunk. The surge that frets over uniting with fellow surges to achieve wholeness has merely overlooked its watery core. The limb, anxious over links to others, has simply disregarded its rootedness in the trunk. That's precisely why the solitary stroller feels no solitude. He's recalled his authentic being, not this confined, detached, self-craving, endless affirmation and fellowship, but the expansive consciousness from which all moments emerge. He's discerned that queries like, "Who am I?" and "Who are you?" yield identical responses. And upon truly beholding this, genuinely internalizing it, the entire dilemma of camaraderie evaporates like dawn's fog. But please, don't misconstrue my words. I'm not advocating seclusion or dismissing interpersonal ties as pointless. The solitary stroller doesn't shun crowds or spurn fellowship. He merely refrains from grasping at it desperately. He requires it not for wholeness. He can relish others' presence without hinging his value or selfhood upon it. It's much like contrasting a parched soul on the brink of dehydration with one savoring a refreshing beverage amid summer heat. The desperate one guzzles in panic, scarcely savoring the liquid, perpetually dreading its depletion. The other savors leisurely, cherishing every sip, yet aware that his intrinsic completeness isn't tied to the refreshment. He stands intact from the outset. We typically engage bonds much like that thirsting figure with hydration. We devour notice, endorsement, and proximity ravenously, eternally fearing scarcity. Constantly gauging our portions against those of peers, we tally points. We gauge our merit by the volume of outreach, summons, or anniversary acknowledgments. But the solitary stroller has unearthed the core truth. He harbors no thirst. He never did. The belief that he required fulfillment from externals was merely a fleeting illusion. And herein lies the exquisite irony. The instant you relinquish that frantic quest for allies, they start gravitating toward you effortlessly. Individuals are pulled toward those self-sufficient in their core. There's an allure to someone who doesn't clutch, who doesn't insist, who doesn't perpetually hunt reassurance. They emanate a liberating aura that captivates. Yet this pull isn't the essence. The solitary stroller isn't scheming to charm or entice. He's simply halted the draining pretense of fragmentation. He's quit performing as a discrete entity yearning outward wholeness. And by ceasing this charade, he's unveiled his inherent wholeness, forever entwined with the totality. You see, We cling to this odd misconception that perception is an individual property, that insight is a personal holding, akin to a purse or timepiece. But imagine if perception resembles the void encompassing all. The void claims no ownership over the forms it cradles. The expanse here isn't distinct from the one adjacent. It's a seamless continuum, seemingly partitioned by barriers and limits that hold only in superficial views. Similarly, the perception, the realization that the consciousness you claim as your own mirrors the very same awareness others attribute to themselves, seemingly fragmented by the confines of distinct bodies and identities, reveals a profound truth. Yet these divisions resemble barriers in the vastness of space, tangible on the surface, yet fundamentally deceptive. The solitary wanderer has pierced this veil of isolated minds. He understands that the awareness peering through your gaze is identical to that gazing from every other pair of eyes. We aren't distinct entities undergoing parallel lives. Rather, we form a single essence navigating the illusion of diversity. That's precisely why solitude doesn't weigh on him. How could isolation grip you when you embody all? How might companionship elude you when each encounter reflects a facet of your own being? Imagine a performer lamenting the absence of dialogue partners amid a solo stage act, overlooking that he's embodying every role in a solo spectacle. To ground this in reality, you might protest, "Sure, this rings poetic, but isolation still tugs at me." You yearn for bonds. You seek someone to grasp your essence, value your presence, weave into your days. Absolutely, those urges are innate, profoundly human, meant to be acknowledged, not buried or dismissed. The real inquiry isn't about their existence, but your stance toward them. Do you let them dictate your state? Do you tie your joy to quenching these longings? Or might you view them as they truly are, ripples within awareness, fleeting shifts like clouds drifting over a boundless expanse? The lone traveler has mastered observing his own solitude with the calm curiosity he'd apply to vapors gliding overhead. He neither battles the sensation, nor scrambles to mend it, nor flees its grasp. Instead, he witnesses its emergence and fade, just as with all phenomena in the flow of life. And through this quiet witnessing, a subtle shift unfolds. The emotion sheds its grip on his peace. It morphs into merely one more movement in the grand theater of mind. Far from icy indifference or dulled feelings, this is liberation, release from the sway of every passing mood in the realm of thought. The solitary figure can sense longing without surrender to it. He can taste the pull toward unity without chains binding him, and in this irony, such autonomy enhances his ability to forge true bonds rather than erode it. For he engages others from wholeness, not from scarcity or frenzy. He encounters them authentically, free from overlaying his unmet hopes onto them. He offers affection without ownership, savors without attachment, unites without dissolving into the other. Consider how most bonds we label as camaraderie stem from shared voids. Two fragmented souls striving to mend one another, like hollow vessels attempting to overflow through collision. But emptiness can't replenish emptiness. The wanderer alone has uncovered his inherent abundance. He was never deficient. From this completeness springs authentic communion. Reflect on the sun. It draws no glow from distant orbs to radiate. Luminosity is simply its core. And through this inherent brilliance, it bathes all in light. Nearby worlds orbit its pull not from any quest to gather them, but from the innate allure of its totality. So too with the lone walker. He's grasped that his true self isn't lacking or fractured, but luminous and integral. In this integrity, he effortlessly brightens the paths of those he meets. They gravitate toward him not because he pursues alliances, but because he emanates the essence all seek in kinship, affirmation of their innate sufficiency. Yet here's the fascinating twist. As his sense of wholeness deepens, he perceives that it transcends the personal entirely. It's not an individual triumph toward integration, it's awakening to the unity ever present. He's discerned that his authentic self was never shattered, thus never required repair. This insight transforms the landscape. When you recognize yourself not as an isolated ego bridging gaps to fellow isolates, but as the singular awareness manifesting through myriad forms, then each interaction turns into a reunion with your core. Dialogue evolves into self-reflection. Ties become interplay among facets of one entity. The solitary soul hasn't spurned connection. He's unveiled its essence, not disjointed elements fusing into oneness, but oneness feigning division. Not solitude conquering isolation, but totality beholding its reflections in seeming variety. And thus he traverses alone, untouched by loneliness. Why he? He requires no companions, yet connects with all. Though he avoids crowds, he's never truly isolated from a soul. He's unraveled the mystery of interpersonal bonds by realizing there was no puzzle to begin with, just a single awareness masquerading as multiples, chasing its own reflection in misguided spots. You may ask how someone reaches this state of solitary wandering. Is there a ritual, a discipline, a skill? And here's the delightful twist. You're already that wanderer. You've always embodied him. The solitary figure isn't an identity to adopt, but a truth to uncover about your core self once you cease the pretense of being otherwise. The pursuit of buddies, the dread of solitude, the urgent hunger for ties, these stem from mental chatter. Narratives spun by the brain about your essence and desires. Yet your true nature is the spacious knowing where these tales emerge and fade. You're not the protagonist in the tale craving allies. You're the creator, scripting every role, the vast awareness amid which the whole theater of bonds plays out. To grasp this, no extraordinary effort is required. Just halt the contrived behavior. Cease crediting the illusion of division. Quit treating your self-concepts with such gravity. Imagine a performer so immersed in the part that he's lost sight of the stage. He doesn't need lessons in authenticity. He only has to recall the performance from the start. The lone walker has recalled it. He's pierced the intricate charade of consciousness, tag-playing with its facets. He understands that each person, ally or unknown, is that same awareness donning varied guises. Can emptiness ever know seclusion? Can awareness ever miss unity with its own expanse? But avoid turning this into yet another lofty idea to seize or milestone to claim. The lone walker isn't an exalted sage in some grand tale. He's merely one who's dropped faith in a falsehood that never held water. He's every person who lingers sufficiently to observe that the knowing beholding these lines is identical to the ever-present knowing threading every instant of living. This knowing arrives not, departs not. It knows no isolation or bond, no satisfaction or void. It simply exists. All else, the saga of a distinct ego yearning for pals, arises inside it, akin to vapors drifting across a clear heaven. The vapors might rage or calm, yet they leave the heaven undisturbed. Thus, when the urge for camaraderie surges, when solitude's chill tightens its hold, when division's narrative looms large, recall this. You're not the fleeting mist of isolation traversing the knowing. You're the heaven boundless, receptive, impervious to any passing climb. The lone walker differs not from you. He's you, stripped of division's fable. He's the essence lingering once you quit straining to embody a flawed, incomplete, unlinked being. He's the insight that your perennial state is already complete, intertwined with all, unbound. In this insight, the journey persists. Yet it's no more the trek of an isolated entity across a foreign realm. It's awareness gliding through its boundless potentials. The flow of the singular manifesting as multitudes, existence's rhythm reveling in the guise of a seemingly solitary man who senses his totality. This unveils the enigma of the friendless lone walker. He's not solitary, for he's all. He craves no allies, for he embodies alliance, the very essence enabling every link. In this vision, he encounters not detachment, but profound oneness with vitality. And maybe, as these words unfold before you, you're stirring to recollection too. Maybe you're glimpsing the lone walker not as another, but as your profoundest self, summoning you back to the unity you never truly forsook.